Okay, so I'm about 3.5 years late with this update, so let's just get started. So I was recently digging through some old videos and I stumbled across some old footage of some fish I used to have. These fish reminded me of a video that I did about 3.5 years ago. It was titled How to Never Do Water Changes. Now that was a video about installing a drip system that could help lead to possibly never needing to do water changes, or at least simply limiting the amount you need to do. In that video, there's a bunch of tanks around me and different types of fish in each tank. Most of those fish I never actually showed you guys or talked about on my channel or never did updates, yet many of you asked about them. So in today's video, I'm going to update you on all of the fish that appeared in that video and what happened to them. So as the video starts out, I'm sitting beside a glass aquarium that I built for my Leopoldi stingrays. And I guess that's kind of a good way to start the story out. But let's go back a little further in time first. Some of my first rays were Motoro stingrays. And here you can see my 240-gallon plywood aquarium that I built, and I housed 2 Motoro rays in it. The male was the small one and the female was the large one. It wasn't long after that the male would catch up in size and they would actually go on to breed. Now I originally built that 240-gallon tank to house the rays in temporarily, but it also served as a tank to do some tests on. I used a new product on it and I did a lot of different things with it. However, I eventually upgraded to a 284-gallon tank that I built as well, and that was built out of acrylic. Now that's a tank that actually never made it to my channel because I wasn't really taking video making serious at the time. Now we're really fast forwarding in time here because now you can see that I have my Motoro still in there. The male is obviously almost the same size as the female, but the other 2 fish are a Asian arowana and a Bosmani stingray. Now that Asian arowana is not the one you guys will remember, it is a panda gold. And that Bosmani I actually got as it was a smaller pup. But you can see how fast it would have grown because it's actually bigger than the other rays, yet less than half their age. If you guys listen to my podcast titled They Are Dead, the extended version, you'll remember that I took you through my entire experience with freshwater rays. When I got into them, why I got into them, what my intentions were, and basically that I was always trying to build up to getting Leopoldi black diamond stingrays. When we bought our house, I decided it was the perfect time to sell all of my rays in arowana, as well as that tank, move into this new house, build a tank twice as big, and get those Leopoldi rays, which is exactly what I did. So I no longer have any of those rays or that arowana. However, I do regret entirely selling that Bosmani stingray. I finally did get those Leopoldi rays though. And this is the first video I ever took of them. It was their first meal with me. I was just feeding them some chopped up shrimp. As you can see, they were a little bit stressed, but it didn't take long before them to get comfortable, put on a little bit of size. They started to darken up and look really good. In no time, they were ready for their big tank, the 540-gallon glass aquarium with the plywood bottom that I showed you guys how I built. It was kind of around this time when I also started taking my videos seriously, and I started creating them more consistently. That tank actually had a bunch of different types of tank mates, but for the most part, I was just happy with having the rays in there. Eventually, we thought we were going to sell this house, but that 540-gallon tank wouldn't fit out of the house, so I decided I'd take it apart in advance and build some temporary tanks for the rays, which I did. And this was one of the first videos I took of them in it. And as you can see, by this time, these Leopoldis were starting to get really big. I'd say they were about 14 to 16 inches across here. They eventually bred in that tank, but the pup they gave birth to was premature. It didn't survive. This here was the last video I took of these rays. It was an update I was doing on them. It would have been impossible for me to know at the time that 3 months later they would be dead. It's the video titled They Are Dead that I go over the story about how my cobalt neotherm heaters blew up due to the heaters being faulty. The outcome to that was that they killed my rays. Boy, do I miss them. It's nice to be able to kind of look back on this footage, though. Okay, so back to the original video, and now let's get into some fish that you guys never seen. Back in the center corner, there was a tank with a bunch of small fish, and this is the tank that kind of piqued most of your curiosity. Many of you wanted to know what was in there. In that tank was some tropheus duboisi. These are an African cichlid, and arguably my favorite African cichlid. I think I had about 30 in there. They were actually the very first fish that ever went into my 540-gallon tank. I was thinking I would try them out as tank mates for the rays, and then quickly changed my mind shortly after. I ended up selling all of these tropheus, and it was more so due to the fact that I had set up this 540-gallon tank, and I was at the time being overrun by Discus. I just didn't have the proper size tank that these guys needed, nor the room for them. Now there was also a tank in that room that you couldn't see, and it was behind the camera. That tank housed my flower horn, and I love this little guy. Very feisty, very personal, and he got pretty big pretty fast. This guy I also ended up selling. Again, just to make room for other things. I do regret selling that guy as well, but at the same time, I can't keep everything. Back in the original video, if you look to the right, there's another large aquarium. Now that tank was an interesting tank because it housed a number of interesting animals, including a turtle. This was not the first turtle I have ever kept, but it was the first fully aquatic turtle that I've ever kept. It was a pig-nosed turtle, also known as the Fly River turtle. These guys are actually the only fully aquatic freshwater turtle in the world. It's an absolutely adorable turtle. It really does have a little pig nose. These guys will eat almost anything you offer it, but it does need a lot of vegetables in its diet. Some of them are aggressive, some are not. It's really hit or miss with these guys. And I lucked out and this guy wasn't that aggressive. But he did nip at my rays. So I did end up selling him. The moment the pig-nosed turtle became too curious of the rays, I decided that it wasn't worth the risk. There was also a bunch of Discus in that tank, and they were all adults. Everything was basically being held in that tank till the 540 was ready for everybody. However, the Discus started spawning in there. And I thought, what if I just take some of those pairs that are actively spawning and set some tanks up for them so I can allow them to go through the full motions, because there's absolutely no way that the fry are going to survive in the tank they were in. So I did just that. I set up some tanks and bred a few pairs of Discus and got approximately 1,000 Discus out of them. I really enjoyed the entire experience of breeding the Discus, but there was a lot more to it. And I actually made a video specifically on breeding and selling Discus that I think you guys would be interested in seeing. In the future though, and the reason why I discovered all the footage for this video is because I was looking for footage that I had saved up over the past few years on Discus, because I'm currently working on a couple of videos about Discus. I already have a video on how to keep Discus on my channel, but I'd also like to do one on Discus breeding. I want to show you guys the entire experience, because I know many of you are missing out on it and probably will never get to experience, but I do want you to at least see what goes on. I'm also creating another video on how I breed Discus, a step-by-step tutorial on everything that I did. I suspect both of those videos will be out within the next few months. That's pretty much all the fish that appeared in that video that we never did updates on. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, but if not, join me next Thursday and I'll have something different for you.